Hello, everyone, and welcome to Empowering the Next Generation podcast with me, Coach Ellen. I'm so grateful you're watching us for another episode with an expert. So, we're here to help you ignite, develop leaders, and create meaningful connections in schools. We want you to get the creme of the creme and also to gain wisdom on how you can shift your mindset and lead effectively in your community. So, if you are a faith based educator and you want to really turn your years of experience in the classroom into a purpose led business, just join my membership. It's a 40-day trial, and I would encourage you to really grow from where you are and help you navigate the challenges and also the mindset shift that you need to have so you can actually make a profitable online business. So today we have Liz Brown. So, who is Liz Brown? So, she's the founder and the CEO of Liz Brown Educational Consulting with 15 plus years in education as a teacher, instructional leader, and a principal. She helps schools create positive, well managed classrooms through practical coaching and professional development. She equips also educators with strategies that strengthen teacher confidence, student success, and school culture. So, as we are exploring today, from chaos to confidence, the power of effective classroom management, we are here to help you with the expert, Liz Brown. Welcome on board.
Hello, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. I know that you're in Michigan right now. I live in the Middle East at the moment, even if I'm French, but I live in the Middle East right now. And I know the time difference can be sometimes quite tricky, but we made it. And
Yes.
I love your work. I love your energy already. I know it's early in the morning. What time is it by you?
It's 10, so it's not too
Oh, it's
bad.
not too bad. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. And you started school as well.
They start Wednesday.
Oh, so okay. So you have
Yes.
another 2 days to really
Yeah.
rest, enjoy. So that's
Yes.
really good. So let's dive into the questions. How did you start becoming an educator?
I started because I was tutoring a little boy at an elementary school when I was in college, and I was, getting to know him. And I asked him, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, a lawyer, doctor, kind of the typical answers. And then I said, oh, well, what about a teacher? And he looked at me and he said, Black boys can't be teachers. We're the
Mhm.
ones who always get in trouble. And it was like that moment, I was like, yep, this is what I'm here for. This is what I was called to do, to be an educator, to be around kids and remind them of their importance, remind them of
Wow.
why, what they can be, and that the world may tell them one thing, but that's not what they need to believe. Like, yeah, they're made for greater. And yeah, so that's why I got into
Love it. I
education.
love it. That's amazing. You've always wanted to be a teacher, so that's amazing. Me, I never really wanted to be an educator. So I feel like education chose me rather than me choosing education. But everybody really have their own experience. So I love that you in that journey to really shape the mind of our
hmm
next generation. So I believe that classroom management is often misunderstood. Okay, so when you use the term classroom management, what does it really mean, and how is effective classroom management different from simply controlling student behavior and maintaining discipline?
So that's exactly it. A lot of people hear classroom management and they think it has to be like a prison or like you have to be very strict and don't smile and never have any fun. And it's like actually that's not it. Classroom management is really building systems in your classroom so that you can have, moments where you got to get your work done and be kind and respectful to each other, but also have opportunities to have fun in your classroom. And if you build the system well and from day one, your students will have a really, really good year, and you will too. But you got to build that system, and you can't just be all over the place with it. You can't try this, then try this. Like, you got to stick with it.
Yeah, I love what you're saying because I have been an educator for more than like 15 years, like you, and
hmm
I've worked really globally. I worked in the UK, in the Bahamas, now in the Middle East, and I can say it's not to be prideful. I'm really good at classroom management because I've seen it all. I have seen it all in this
Yes,
world. So,
yes.
as you said, you need from day one to really be clear. At the beginning, when you honor the teacher who is very confident, sometimes it's quite hard, to really set your standard because you want the kids to love you, but
Hmm.
they need those strategy and those standards. So
Yes.
why is classroom management so foundational? So I believe that you said that you need that strategy in the system. So why
Mhm.
should classroom management be considered a core teaching skill rather than something educator only address when behavior problems arise?
And that's exactly it. If you wait until a problem arises, you're going to be so stressed out. But if you have a plan and a system in place for if and when, that behavior problem comes up, you'll feel more prepared for it. Having a classroom management system and having that in place, it gets you to the feeling of you're fully prepared for it. Your students relax more. They know what to expect. They're not high anxiety, wondering what's next. When do we do this? Where do I turn in my paper? When is homework due? Where do I put my book bag? Like, there's none of that. They know all of it. So it brings down the anxiety in the classroom, it brings down the teacher's anxiety, and it just makes for a much smoother school year.
Yeah, I love that. When you talk, I heard the word routine,
Hmm.
and you building that routine with them so they know what to expect. And I think it's important because when they have that routine, as you said, they don't feel anxious. They say, "Oh, this is the next step. This is where we're going." So I love
Hmm.
that. I love that you shared about that. So how does it affect learning, teacher confidence, student engagement, and overall the classroom culture?
Well, for learning, when students are high anxiety and they're not sure what's next or where they turn in their paper or those types of things, it's hard for them to learn because they're focused on what's next because they don't know what comes next. So it's
Mm.
hard for them to focus on if you're doing math and they're like, oh, but I don't know where to turn in my paper or I don't know where to, whatever it is. It makes them very, very yeah, just feeling unsafe, right? Or just unsettled. But if you have a classroom where, you've worked hard on classroom management, your students can focus on their lessons because they know exactly what's going to come next. They know who's going to, pick up the papers. They know who's in charge of passing out the papers. They know what happens during math. They know where to get their notebooks. Like everything just flows better because they have those routines, those procedures in place. And as far as classroom environment, when students are anxious, it starts to grow, right? It starts with one student, then five students, then 10 students. And before you know it, even the teacher's anxious because they're not 100% sure or confident in themselves. So then the whole classroom is just shaky, just it's anxiety, right? Like everybody's
Yes.
just anxious and unsettled. So if you have an opportunity to put students in a classroom where everything is clear and everything is they know what to do, they know the routines, the teacher's anxiety comes down, the student's anxiety comes down, and the classroom environment or the culture of the classroom is we're here to learn, we're here to respect each other, and we're going to do our best, and we know what to expect.
I love that. I love how you really answer the questions like clearly. You're not like waffling. You just like, I know I'm on business. I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I know what I'm talking about because I've done it. So, okay, let's see. What is one of the worst experience you had as a teacher? That you feel like, you know what? I need to create those systems. So what is one of the worst experience that you had?
So it was actually my first year. I was teaching in fourth grade, and I was a long-term sub because their regular or their whatever normal teacher was out sick or something. And so I was their fifth long-term sub because people wouldn't stay
Wow.
because the class was just so unorganized. There were like 35, 36 kids. I had one kid who had to have his desk like in the doorway because I didn't have
Oh,
enough room for all the desks. Some of the desks were being
wow.
held up by books. Like the legs of the tables they
Oh,
weren't all the same. So the kids, they had math books, old math books that were holding up the table.
wow.
Like it was just pure chaos. And I would try
Yes.
everything. But it was like because they never had a system and they always had new teachers, they couldn't ever really get into a routine. And
Yes.
the teacher across from me, she had been there for years. And she came in from recess one day and took off her keys, set them on the table, and walked out. She just quit right in the middle of the day. So I had to take her students too. So I had like
Oh,
48 students.
Oh my
Yeah, so
God.
it was just a complete disaster. And it was like in that moment, even though I had learned some about classroom management, I really quickly learned like it's not just a cute technique. It's not
No.
just a cute theme in your classroom or like a little bulletin board border, right? Like it is extremely important. And to some degree, it will truly make or break your classroom.
Mm. Wow, wow. So
Yeah.
why did you decide to focus on classroom management really? Why you didn't focus on any other thing?
Um, well, it started because when I was a principal, we would have like student teachers from local colleges at our school to
Mhm.
do their student teaching, and I loved having them in our building, but I realized that 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 times
You
when
didn't
they
know.
called me, it was because of classroom management or behavior. They weren't calling me
Oh.
about lesson plans. They weren't calling me about, scheduling or what to do with this. It was always about behavior and classroom management. And I learned
Mhm.
that colleges really don't spend a lot of time on classroom
No.
management. So they're
Yes.
graduating these new students, but they don't have that real experience or just lessons or the how
Yes.
to with classroom management. And so they
Mm.
go and get their first classroom or their student teaching,
Yes.
and they're
Yes.
like, I
Oh
don't know
my
what to
gosh.
do. These kids are out
Yes.
of control. I don't know how to help them.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I need to focus on this and help new teachers because once you graduate, your college is pretty much like, see ya. They don't
Yeah.
have, unless their school has a really, really strong coaching program, they really
Mm.
don't have someone who can support them.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why.
Yeah, for me, I feel that, when you talked about as well, I want to focus on what you said about the fact that the teacher left the school, the fact that the
Hmm.
kids didn't have any teachers that was actually consistent, and I feel
Hmm.
consistency is very important for kids,
Huge.
and they don't like change. If you
No.
stay there for like 5 years, 6 years, or even more, they will respect you because you've been there, so they know you,
Hmm.
they will respect you. But if there is all the time a turnover, that is all is it's too much for them, because now they feel that no one cares about them, and it's like, oh, another one. Okay, so,
Right.
and I feel it's important
Exactly.
that you build that connection with them, and connection is key. If you don't connect with the kids, I feel that for me, classroom manage connection is one of the biggest key for classroom management as
Oh,
well. If you don't know
absolutely.
how who your students are, if you don't connect to them with them in a deeper level, they won't listen to you. They need to feel heard, they need to feel valued, and sometimes they don't have it home, so when they come in your
Right.
classroom they want something different. So okay, let's dive into your section. Okay, so you said that, what does great classroom management really actually look like and feel? So if I walk into one of your a well-managed classroom, what
Mhm.
would I see, hear, or experience?
So let's say you walk in and the students are doing like centers or rotations. What you would see is, let's say it's first grade, you would see a classroom where students are in their small groups. They know what to do in their little center. They know what the teacher's going to do. They know what the sound is, like a chime or a bell when they need to move to the next center. They know how to move to the next center. They know how to use the materials without throwing them around. They know how to use them appropriately. The activities that they're doing are grade level appropriate. They know how to get up and go to the bathroom without interrupting the teacher. Like all the routines and procedures for centers are known. And if you were to walk in and tap a student on their shoulder and say, "Hey, tell me what you're doing," they could totally tell you what they're doing. If you ask them, like, "Oh, how do you know when it's time to move to the next center?" They could tell you, "Oh, we hear a bell. When the bell rings, we clean up and then we move to our next center." Like all the things that a teacher has to think about when they're navigating centers or just in a classroom with a lot of movement, that's what classroom management looks like. It's going through step by step and teaching the students, okay, this is what we do when we are having centers time. And I think it's also you would be able to tell that the teacher has a really strong relationship with the students So
Mm,
maybe there's like a teacher table where she's working with three or four students and they're laughing together or they're joking, or she knows how to push them a little bit more, or she knows who needs a little bit more help. Like she knows her students very, very well. And because of that, the activities that she chooses are right on level. Again,
mm.
she knows how to push the students who need a little bit more of a challenge, and she knows how to back up a little bit for students who they might need a little bit more help. So you can see that there's a strong relationship within the students and the teacher with the students.
I love that. So, what are the main two key indicators that you say, you know what, this is a healthy and productive learning environment? From everything you said, okay, let's remember two things. It's like, this is what I think is are the best.
I would say the relationship is number one, because
Mm-hmm.
if you aren't building a relationship, then they won't trust you. And it doesn't matter what you say all year. If they don't trust you or respect you, sorry, it's going to be a hard
Yes.
year. So that's number one. And the
Mm-hmm.
second thing I would say is if the teacher can leave and have a sub and the classroom still runs the same, that's
Yeah,
good classroom management. That means the students know what to do. They're not trying to get away with anything. They know exactly what to do. They've learned the routines and the procedures. They're good.
I like that. I like that. And let's talk about now the classroom more in depth, okay, from what you've seen or you've said already. Okay, let's talk about stronger classroom management. I know that it doesn't happen overnight. So what are the most important steps that
Mhm.
teachers can take to build effective classroom management system, from
Well, there's,
establishing
mhm.
from
Yeah.
establishing a routine to developing really a strong relationship with students?
Absolutely. So there's really like five main steps. And if you're a new teacher, I would say the first thing is write it all out. What do you want students to do to ask for a pencil? What do you want students to do with their backpack when they come? What do you want your students to do when they, need to go to the bathroom? How do they ask? Like write out every single procedure, and you're not going to get them all because you're new, right? Like
Yeah,
do the best that you can, but writing it all out will help you think through so you're not trying to guess in the moment. Oh, you need to go to the
yeah.
bathroom? Okay,
Oh,
go,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just if you already have a plan saying, oh, you need to raise your hand, then you get the bathroom pass, then you go, right? If you already have that written out, you'll be prepared because, of course, students are going to ask to go to the bathroom, right? So
Definitely,
you
yeah.
want to be prepared with as many scenarios as you can. The second thing would be communicating it. And practicing it. So you're going over it and over it. You're teaching the students over and over again to the point where you're like ready to pull your hair out and they're tired of practicing it. But that practice and that, trying it over and over again until they get it right is so important to having a system that lasts all year. Because if you stop trying after they get it right once, well, once doesn't mean they actually got it, right? That doesn't mean
Yes.
they actually know it. So having an opportunity to go over it over and over and over again, that's what's really important. And then in those moments where a student says, I got to go to the bathroom and just runs to the bathroom, but they don't get the bathroom pass, they don't raise their hand, and you don't say anything, that's where the problem starts. Because if you start to give in, right, then other students are like, oh, I can get away with this too,
Yes.
right? They start to think like, oh, maybe I'll try it. And then you've got a whole class of kids who aren't following the system that you created anymore, right? So you can't give in, even though it's so much easier to just give in. Nope, don't give in. Stick with it. And the last one is be patient. It takes time. It takes time to build it. A lot of classroom management, you're still building it 8, 9, 10 weeks into the school year,
Yes.
right? So we're talking if you start in August, in October, late October, you're still building your classroom management. So be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. It is days after days after days. And then finally, once you get to like late October, early November, then you'll start to feel like, oh, we're like a well-oiled machine. We've got a
Mm,
system running here. And if you
mm.
stick with it, you can have it until June when the school year's done.
Wow. And I think as well it's important to think about like a sanction not really sanction, but like a consequences and reward
Mhm.
system. Because when you talk about that kids who actually run away to the bathroom, what do you do with it? What would you do? Can you tell me on your classroom management, what would be one consequence that you would get?
I think for the first time, first you got to check, with the little ones, make sure it's not emergency because it
Yeah.
might be.
Yes,
But
yes.
if they're like fourth grade, fifth grade, they know better. Then when they come back, because you don't want to stop them from using the bathroom if it's emergency. But when they come back, you pull them aside and say, you know what? In our classroom, you know that you need to raise your hand, wait for me to call on you, take the bathroom pass, and then go to the bathroom, right? So you remind them in the moment. You don't want to forget about it and tell them 2 hours later because then they forgot. But try
Yes.
to find a time soon after it happened to really hold them accountable. Or you can ask them to tell you what are the steps to going to the bathroom or to asking to go to the bathroom, right? And have them tell you because they know what
Mm.
to do. And then from there, you can keep reminding them and practicing that with them. Nope, you're supposed to ask first. Nope, you need to take the bathroom pass. Like, you know what I mean? Reminding, and practicing over and over again. Now, if it becomes a pattern and they're constantly running into the bathroom, then you have another situation. And that's where you might want to pull them into the hallway or at recess or something. And because you don't want to embarrass them, but
Yes.
you want to ask them, like, why are you always running to the bathroom? And if it's like an actual emergency or something, okay, that's different. But if it's
Yes.
like, oh, you're just playing because somebody else
Yes.
is in the bathroom, or
Yes.
you just don't want to do your reading or your math, so you run away
Mm,
or run
mm,
to the bathroom, then it's a different conversation. Because then it's
yeah.
like, you know what? You're actually disobeying the rule. You're
Yes.
not following the system that we have set up as a class, as a community. And that's when, you start getting into calling parents and all of that stuff once you start seeing a pattern. But like I said, if it's just the first time, it's just reminding them of the rules and the expectations and then having them tell you what the procedure is.
I like that. And yeah, I think it's fair. And I love the fact that, as you say, you don't embarrass them. You just talk to them first, because
Hmm.
sometimes some teachers don't understand don't know the flexibility in,
Right.
especially at the beginning, you want to build trust. It's not just being straightforward and just say, you know what, I sanction you for what you've done. This is wrong. It's,
Hmm.
hearing them, understanding where they are in this is the classroom. So I'm going to give you a warning. Okay, and if you do that again next time, then we're gonna have to think about another consequence. But I love that it's not straightforward, the sanction. So as many educators are struggling, okay, with increasingly complex student behaviors, okay,
Hmm.
so for a teacher who is listening to us, okay, and overwhelmed, and they also lost control of their classroom, okay, where should they start? What is a one practical change that they could implement tomorrow that can begin shifting their classroom from chaos to confidence?
Yeah. I would say the first thing is sit back and reflect. Where are the areas that you see the issues the most? Is it students blurting? Is it students talking over you during lessons? Pick maybe two or three of your top areas where you're having the most frustrating times, and then reteach those three tomorrow. So if it's students blurting, students talking over you, and students, getting up and walking around without asking, then in those three areas, you need to reteach tomorrow exactly what you want your students to do and hold them accountable to those new procedures that you have set. So don't try to fix everything because that's too much, right? Just pick like two or three of the areas that are the most frustrating. And from there, reteach the procedures, hold the students accountable, practice, 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 practice. And once you know that they've really got it, and I mean really, really, really got it, then you can start fixing other things. Then you can pick two or three more. But start slow. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Just, two or three at a time.
I love that. From what you said today, so one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the conversation is that, a well-managed classroom isn't really necessarily a silent classroom.
Right.
It's a classroom that is intentional. So I love that. And I feel that it's a classroom with clear expectations and routines, consistent routines, and healthy relationships. And I feel
Hmm.
that it's not just an overnight, as you said, overnight
Right.
system. It has to be, it takes time to grow, and it's also about educators listening to their students. So I love that. So I would encourage you, any educator listening to us, to start with one routine, one expectation, one
Hmm.
relationship, one intentional strategy at a time to build your classroom management. And let's talk about your program. So what do you offer for any educator who suffer from that?
Yeah, so right now I'm offering strategy sessions. So that is 60 minutes with me where we can just talk about any questions that you have about classroom management. Maybe you're a new teacher and you're like, I don't even know where to begin. Or you've been teaching for a while and you're like, I want to refresh. I just want to do it better this year. Or I kind of got off the wagon and I need to do a little bit better. We could talk about that. So those strategy sessions, they're virtual. We'll just sign on Zoom for 60 minutes, and it's really your time to vent, cry, laugh, pick my brain, whatever you need. So those are being offered right now.
Awesome, awesome. So I will put the link in the description so
Yes,
people can actually connect with you. So
absolutely.
let's finish with that quote. Okay, classroom management isn't about controlling students. It's about creating an environment where students can learn, teachers can lead, and everyone has the opportunity to thrive. So
Yes,
thank you
absolutely.
so, so much, Liz. Anything that you want to say? One more thing you want to say to any educators listening to us, Liz?
It takes time. You can't get it right in one day, and no one has a perfect classroom management. It just has to be built over time.
I love it. So if you want to start your purpose-led business and turn your years of experience into a purpose-led business, I encourage you to join my community. And also don't forget to like, to connect, to share, to comment as well. And we're here to help you in your journey of growth and transformation. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Liz, for being part of the podcast.
Yes, thank you.